Welcome to the Surviving Siblings podcast. I'm your host, Maya Roffler. As a surviving sibling myself, I knew that I wanted to share my story, my brother's story. I lost my brother to a homicide in November 2016, and after going through this experience, I knew that I wanted to share my story and his story. And now it's your turn to share your stories. Today I'm with another incredible bereaved sibling. Her name is Cryssy. Cryssy, welcome to the show.
And thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, Cryssy, I am looking forward to sharing your story and sharing the story of your sister, Danielle. So take us back a little bit here and tell us a little bit about you and Danielle and your family. Tell us a little bit about what it was like growing up as a family unit, because you also have another surviving sibling too. So tell us a little bit about your dynamic growing up and what your family life was like.
Family life was honestly chaotic, but I celebrate birthdays literally days apart. So it's like my sister's birthday, my little brother's birthday, my mom's birthday, grandma's birthday, all days apart. So we got to bring my baby sister home on my birthday. So essentially she was like my birthday present. And then my little brother came home on Danielle's birthday. So it was just kind of like little gifts. My sisters were, and my sister and my brother were gifts to us. At least that's how I used to look at it when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
So Danielle was my little birthday present. Sean was Danielle's birthday present. And we would celebrate just a couple days. Like I was the 25th, Danielle's the 23rd, my brother's the 20th. And I used to tease my mom about it because we're all September babies. But I don't know, like growing up, I was the oldest. I've always been the oldest. I had another little brother, Matthew, who passed away when I was like really, really little.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't get to have like the relationship that I got to have with like my brother or my sister. So being the big sister, I took on a lot of responsibility, like kind of being my own kind of mama bear. There was mental health struggles growing up. So sometimes I did take on like taking care of my brother and my sister when like my dad worked all the time. So mom wasn't always well. So like I took on a huge responsibility of like making sure that the house was okay and my sister was okay, and up for school and da 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 da. And that just kind of followed up until I graduated from high school and moved away. But we were extremely close siblings. I was a protector. Like anyone who messed with my siblings, I was always there. You just never would. Everyone knew not to mess with my brother or my sister because they had me to ask to or answer to, and that was something I was proud of, to be able to take care of them and to protect them. I was the only one that could be mean to my brother or my sister.
Yeah. You're the oldest. Yeah, you're the
Yes.
oldest. I'm the oldest of 4, so I connect with your story so much because you're the oldest of 4,
Yeah.
And I it's totally true. It's like I can mess with them and nobody else can.
Yep.
I have to tell you this too, Cryssy. I was gonna ask you and then you answered it. I'm like, well, what month is this in? My brother and I are September 21st. We had the same birthday.
That's awesome.
3 years apart. So he was my birthday present on my 3rd birthday. So I so connect with that. That's like one of my first vivid memories is him being born. So I so connect with that. And I think, yeah, it's funny, but September is the most popular birthday month for a reason, right? It's after the holidays. That's why. So yeah, that's so funny. You teased your mom about that. I love that.
I'm always like an open book. Like I'm the loud mouth. Like I'm the, I guess, my sister's always the angel and I was the devil child,
We got to be tough when we're the oldest though,
Yeah.
We got to be the tough ones. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So you guys were really, really close. You were like the mama bear in the group. So tell us a little bit about Danielle, because this is a story of anticipatory grief that we're going to be
Mhm.
talking about today. So tell us a little bit about Danielle's journey and when that all started.
Danielle was really had an interesting life. She was always getting injured. Ever since she was a little kid, she was just always getting into accidents. She fell out of the crib. She got smacked in the head with a racquetball, badminton. So she was in cheerleading, so she hurt her hip. She broke her arm twice. She was the accident-prone kiddo, and eventually, it was like what led up to the day was an interesting kind of a situation. Is uh, I got a phone call from her. She had left me a voicemail and she sounded so happy. And she's like, "Hey, sis, it's your sis," because we would joke about that. And she was like so excited. Her and her fiance had went and picked out engagement rings at the mall to build credit because our goal was to, build credit so they could get a home and have a wedding. And she was so excited um, to ring shop, and I didn't get the call. I only got the voice message, and then I had received a call from my mom shortly thereafter, kind of telling me what I will tell you in a moment. And basically my mom was like, "Don't call your sister." And I'm like, "You can't tell me what I can and cannot do." So I instantly called my sister, and I thought it was kind of interesting because my sister was having a great day when she ended up getting a bloody nose at the mall shortly after she was picking out a ring. And then so she went to the hospital shortly thereafter. And so she was like, "Hey, I don't know how to tell you, but they think I have leukemia. They're going to send me down to the University of Michigan Medical Center in Ann Arbor to figure out the kind of leukemia that um, they think it is." And so I remember kind of going, you know, I wasn't going to like lose it on the phone because that's the last thing, you want to do for somebody that's going through that. And so I held it together enough to be like, "Okay, once you get down there, let me know you made it. And then, call me. Just let me know." And that's when they had found out that it was acute myeloid leukemia. And I had already known about acute myeloid leukemia because I had a friend that passed away from it previously. So I kind of I knew, no one else knew what to expect. And so unfortunately, I started to instantly start grieving her life, like instantly, because I knew the outcome. And people would be mad, like, "Why didn't you have hope?" And I'm like, I of course you have hope, but the outcome of AML isn't and hasn't ever been a good outcome, unfortunately.
Tell us about, so I'm not as familiar with this, and a lot of people listening probably won't be either, Cryssy, unless they are like you, had known somebody
Yeah,
before, or maybe are in it right now, or lost their sibling to this. So tell us more about this before we continue down
it's
this journey. Yeah.
it's like any kind of leukemia is a blood cancer. It attacks the blood cells, the bone marrow, um, and it's fast moving. It's just aggressive, and they have trials after trials after trials, and it's just there isn't like a cure for it yet. I'm a huge proponent for Acute Myeloid Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and what used to be, I don't remember what it's called now, but it used to be the Match, which would help you be able to donate potential blood and bone marrow if you ever want to help someone, which I always please do, because there's never enough blood to donate. So if you can donate, definitely do that.
Yeah.
But with AML, it's a fast moving, very aggressive cancer, and a lot of leukemias are. And she went through so many different trials and different, just everything that she didn't want to give up, obviously. And she had a great team. Everybody loved her. She was really resilient. Like you would never think that she had cancer. She didn't show that she was in pain. She always had a smile. Just everybody loved her. Everyone loved Danielle. And like watching her in 2011 when she was diagnosed on the 6th with leukemia and AML on the 7th of April. She lived a year, and she passed away on May the 4th of 2012. So it was a rough year that she had. She was in and out of the hospital. I had 2 bake sales for her. Our community that she grew up in was huge, coming out for her. We had, if it wasn't for the community, honestly, I don't know what our family would do or would have done. I kind of made sure that Danielle received the help that she needed because my parents didn't have any idea where to start and what to do. So I kind of got right into it, like getting a hold of Social Security for her. I got a hold of um, the Cancer Society, the Lymphoma Society. Other people were like getting her in touch with community-based care that helped pay for things that she wasn't able to pay for. And like my mom or my dad or her fiance were just, there was somebody always there with her. She went into remission for just like a month, and then she spent all of Thanksgiving in the hospital and Halloween. She asked me to come decorate her room for Halloween and come decorate her room for Christmas. Those are her 2 favorite holidays. I share Halloween with her. That's our favorite shared holiday.
That was my brother and I's favorite too, so I'm totally with you. Something about September babies. I think we just love Halloween.
We love autumn.
Yeah.
We hope you're enjoying this incredible episode of the Surviving Siblings podcast. I'm your host, Maya Roffler. We'll be back in just a minute after hearing from our incredible sponsor. If you've lost a sibling, trust me, I know exactly how you feel. I'm Maya. I'm the host of the Surviving Siblings podcast, but I'm also the founder of Surviving Siblings Support. I know that going through this experience is extremely difficult, whether you've lost a brother like me, a sister, or perhaps more than one sibling. Trust me, we know exactly how you feel. So that's why I started our Patreon account. You can click below to find out more about our Patreon. If you join our Patreon group, it'll give you just a little bit of extra support that you need along your journey as a bereaved sibling, or as we like to call it, a surviving sibling. We offer monthly support groups. We offer a free copy of our grief guide that is actually found on Amazon. It's called the Grief Guide for Surviving Siblings. We also offer direct messaging to our community and to me for extra support. And we have incredible events. We have workshops throughout the year that you'll get access to, and you'll also have access to our summit that happens annually. And so much more as you'll connect with a community of surviving siblings that understand the journey of losing a sibling. You can click below to join us today and also check out some additional VIP features that we offer. I hope to see you in the group, and until then, keep on surviving, my surviving siblings.
And then Danielle also loved Christmas, and that was something that we got to share with our little brother. I had started a tradition when my sister was really little, and she kept that tradition going when I moved away. And I remember coming home one random Christmas, and she's like still doing the tradition that I taught her. And I just thought that was so sweet that she kept it going for my little brother. And our last Christmas, she asked if we could be together again. And I was like, absolutely. So we went to her apartment. And so it was like my little brother, her fiance, myself. We just stayed up talking all night. We were supposed to be at our mom's like early in the morning because there was a surprise. And we just couldn't stop talking. We were just like, wanting to have that moment together. And then we were late. But Santa visited us on Christmas. So that was really great. And she loved Sailor Moon. growing up. So I made sure that she received Sailor Moon as her Christmas present that Christmas, so that when she was in the hospital, she'd be able to watch it. And so it was one of those, like, I have a picture of her hugging Sailor Moon because she was just so happy to receive that. And it was just like a huge, big deal that I made sure she had that for her, unfortunately, final Christmas.
Yeah.
Because I inevitably knew the outcome, which was devastating to grieve somebody that's still here.
Yeah.
And that's something that I did kind of by myself, because I had to outwardly be like hopeful for her, and then of course my family too.
Yeah.
So but it was devastating because I wanted to protect her, especially when she was getting sicker. And with cancer, I don't know, like, a lot of people uh, have chemo brain, and they'll hear and see things that might we don't see it, but they do. And so you want to make sure that you don't downplay what they see, because what they see is very valid.
Yeah.
And so I made sure that I'm like, okay, I listened.
Right. You were
And
validating her, which I think
yeah.
is so important.
Mhm.
Let me ask you, so a couple things I want to ask you, Cryssy. So
Mhm.
first thing, in your story, it sounds like your whole family was remaining quite hopeful. And
Yeah.
so you outwardly had to remain really hopeful while also being really realistic because you had experience with this type of
Yeah.
loss before. So you were saying you felt very lonely. I'm sure that did create a sense of loneliness for sure in
Mhm.
as you were in this anticipatory grief mindset and like I'm mourning my sister while she's still physically here, but she still was a different version of your sister too because now she's
Mhm.
battling leukemia and that's
Mhm.
that's a lot. And so were your parents, your brother, and like the family unit, everybody was hopeful. You were the only one that was kind of a little more realistic.
Yeah, I've always was kind of going in through this like in a really a realistic way.
Mhm.
I always had a smile on my face, even though I was like breaking on the inside. Um, I could sort of like, I could see my sister, and my sister would have a smile on her face, but I could like read through those lines. Like, I could see that, I can tell a fake smile from a real smile and an authentic smile. And I could tell like my sister was going through it. And I just kind of knew. And so I just kind of knew just to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't, I mean, I have a lot of, you know, grief and guilt still, because I never really did get to say officially goodbye to her. I When she had the surge, or whatever you want to call it, where like everybody thinks she's going to get better, but you're like, no, this is just her. She can eat today, but she's probably not going to be here tomorrow. She's probably going to go into a coma. Like, you just kind of know. Most nurses know, like any like medical people know, but like everyone else kind of was just hopeful. Like, you have that hope, and you see everyone else kind of be hopeful, and you're just kind of like, okay, well, I'm prepared now. So you have to kind of be prepared, because you have to be there for everyone else.
Mhm.
And I was aware of that. And so I made sure that everyone got to say goodbye. And I thought that I would have enough time to say goodbye when it came to my time to have that goodbye. I didn't get to have that goodbye, but I just had the ability to take care of her afterwards, when she went into a coma shortly after she had her surge. I had
So
a final
tell us what a surge is for those of us who don't know what that is.
just kind of like, um she'll be sick for a little while, and all of a sudden she can eat food, and she has all this energy, or they might have all this energy, and they can visit and laugh and talk, and they haven't had an appetite, and all of a sudden they can eat, and they're hungry for all this stuff. And people like get excited because like, oh, she might be getting better, but really it's kind of like her last bit of energy to be able to like spend it with you, kind of.
Mm.
I mean, not everybody goes through that, But a lot of people have that kind of like ability to kind of have that little last energy to kind of spend with their family, their loved ones, people that, so that's when you kind of like tell people like, come visit, this is it. Like, is if you have unsaid business, hurry, you don't have a lot of time, because you can have anywhere between hours, minutes, days, if you're lucky.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, okay. And I've heard people describe it before, but I don't know if I've ever heard that term before. So this is why I love doing the show, because I learn I learn about this stuff. So yeah, and that makes sense, because I have heard people describe often in like when their sibling has a terminal illness, or whatever the anticipatory loss is, right? Cancer, yeah, I thought she was going to be okay. I thought he was going to be okay because he was talking that day, or he seemed jovial that day, or she seemed, she could eat. So this is what they're talking about, is
Yeah.
the surge. Okay. And so that happened. And so,
names, but that was what I was told.
yeah, interesting. So that happened, and everyone's like, oh, this is good.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, maybe, but it's inevitable what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So what happened after that? Because then that's when she took, and when was this? When did she have that surge? And then, because she had passed in May, but when was all of this happening?
It was about the last kind of week of April, if I remember correctly. She was airlifted from Mount Pleasant Hospital, which is kind of in the middle of the Michigan Mitten, down to Ann Arbor, which is down by Detroit, Michigan. So she was airlifted from a tiny hospital to U of M, where she was receiving her oncology care. And my brother was staying with me at the time, because we had just celebrated the Easter holiday. My parents drove up to pick up my brother, took him down to Ann Arbor, and then I left with some friends. And I was at the hospital for about 2 weeks. I stayed at the hospital for 2 weeks. I slept out of a garbage bag. I slept in a little visitor room, and they were very nice and kept us, accommodated while we were there, because they understood, that we were traveling far and our means were just not. We were very, very, very poor family, so they were very kind to let us stay there for as long as they did. And I was just kind of there for about 2 weeks. It took. She passed away at 10:20 on the 4th, and then we were all in the room with her. It was like her fiance, my mom, my dad, my brother, and a very close friend of hers and her partner. And we just were there in that room. We had just taken a cold. We were trying to keep her fever down because she was really, really warm. And she took in a breath, and then she never breathed out, and we were kind of waiting, and there wasn't any more, and that was the end. And like, it was, and she was our glue. Danielle was the glue that kind of kept us all together. And unfortunately, after her passing, we all kind of split into all these different paths, I guess you would say, which is the rather unfortunate part. She had two what would you call it? Like, she didn't have a traditional funeral. She had like a viewing, because we could only afford the viewing, unfortunately. And I she had asked for crackle nail polish and for Christmas. And I remember I painted her nails. That was important to me, to make sure that, she was dressed in something that she looked cool in. My sister was very stylish. She was a model. So I wanted to make sure that she looked good and stylish for her viewing. I painted her nails. I did her hair. I put her glasses on. I got her dressed. You know, I made sure that she looked presentable, and then I put her all the jewelry on, and then I was like, okay, I think my parents can see her. So my parents and my like brother and my dad came and were able to, okay, yep, she's ready for tomorrow for her day. And so I got to take care of her because I didn't get to say goodbye to her proper. So I got to say goodbye to her, and I'm going to take care of her then.
Let me
And
ask you this, Cryssy, as we're talking about this again, this keeps coming up in your story. Why this happens a lot with sudden loss, right? Where you don't get the chance to say goodbye. And a lot of you guys who listen to the show, often I get emails or messages on TikTok, and you've probably seen it on my lives. People are like, I didn't get to say goodbye. I didn't get to say goodbye. That's not always the case with anticipatory. So I'm curious, why didn't you have the opportunity? Is it because your family was continuing to be hopeful? Is it because she took a turn? What was the reason that you didn't have that opportunity? And I think that's an interesting part of your story and something that you still carry with you today, because it's
oh,
not
for sure.
always the case, right? With a more of an anticipatory type loss. So I think you sharing this part would be really helpful for people. So why did that happen?
I think like I think that I thought I had more time,
Mhm.
and when ultimately I should have spent more time. I don't think like I spent as much time as I should have, and so I have a lot of regret there. Um, Unfortunately, I love my mom. I just don't have. We have never had a good relationship, and it was very hard to be able to be myself authentically alone with my sister without having like her there a lot of the time. I wouldn't, so like my mom would leave us alone, but it wasn't like, I guess it was more about listening to her, and I didn't ask the right questions when I should have. And, like things that were not important at the time should have been more important, I think. So I think there's a lot of regret there.
Yeah.
And so I had to ask like a lot of her friends stuff, and like her best friend, for example, I had to ask her like, you know, things that I wanted to know more about, because I I did kind of run away from home when I graduated high school, so I missed out on a lot of key moments in my sister and my brother's life. And then when she got sick, um I wasn't able to kind of be there as much because of the distance. I lived all 4 hours away from where she was mostly. And a majority of that time it was with my mom. And sometimes you want to know when to be quiet, and sometimes you can't be quiet when you should be quiet.
Mhm.
And I think like there's a time and a place, and my mom and I never were able to ever be able to be that mature, I guess you'd say,
Yeah.
to
And
be.
you probably didn't feel, because I understand what that's like to have a strained relationship with your mother. Trust me, I get that. So, yeah, so if you are surrounded by those people at this time, it's really difficult to feel completely vulnerable and uninhibited to say maybe the things that you wanted to say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did. I wasn't able to convey the things that I definitely wanted to say. I think she knew that, I loved her deeply. Um, I did what I could because it my parents wouldn't have known what to do.
Mm.
I had to kind of be the parent in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I kind of was like that a lot growing up, really. And then that was kind of a bummer. And I'm still, I still grieve my sister all the time. Like April, May, those are hard months. Birth months, like September is hard. Halloween can be hard. Holidays, all holidays,
Mhm.
like, and it can hit you right out of the blue too.
Mhm.
Like, just you could be having the greatest day, and then this weird memory just kind of pops up, and you're like, what? Or you're happy that that memory came up because you hadn't thought about it, and since it probably happened, And those moments I'm grateful for. And anytime I have the chance to talk about Danielle, I will annoy anyone because I want to talk about her. I want to make sure that she's not forgotten.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're telling her story today because she'll definitely never be forgotten. And so many of you guys are going to cherish this story and listening to this. And I think I love that you shared that you like trust her and you did her crackle nail polish. And because even though you don't feel like you had the opportunity to say, you were able to do for her.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that is a way to say goodbye. And I think the way that you're sharing with us, it's like, no, I didn't say it, but like I got to do it. And I think there's some beauty in that in your story, right? Like
Yeah.
that's love what you did for her.
I
So
had this I had this amazing dream shortly after. It was around October of 2013, and I used to throw these like awesome parties. It's just something I've always done. And I was getting ready for a birthday party, and I was prepared, and then I had this dream about my sister, and she had her short hair, and my sister had, when she was cancer free, had beautiful long hair, but she had passed away with her short cancer hair. And in the dream, she had her short hair, and but we were back at home, but it wasn't home because you know how dreams are, weird life. Like the house looked like the Brady Bunch house, and um and I remember like my mom was calling us down for school, and we had long since graduated high school. And I remember like going up and going, "Hey, we got to go to school." And my sister just was like, "You know what? I'm okay." And I was like, "Okay." And it was kind of like, to me, I was like, this is my sister telling me that she's okay, and that it's okay if I laugh, it's okay if I smile, it's okay to be okay. Like she's okay. And you know, it was the first dream that I had had um since she had passed. And so I was just like, wow, like I had this, like she had this beautiful smile, and like her just beautifulness. And I felt it. Like I felt that warmth, that light, that surrounding white light that I tell people to like, you know, grant themselves when they are grieving, to like, you know, surround yourself in white light. And that's kind of how that dream was for me, was that white light meditation feeling, that feeling of love.
mhm.
And like her telling me that she was okay. And
I love
I just,
that.
it stayed with me. And I remember like I was so excited to be able to tell my brother, because he was coming to my party, and I was like, "Sean, I had a dream about Danielle." And it was just, I don't know, it was like one of those things that stays with me.
I mean, yeah, you don't forget those. But what I think is interesting too about you sharing like the timeline, you know, a lot of people and a lot of you guys listening have dreams. I had dreams about my brother, still do from time to time.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how they evolve over the years too, which
Mhm.
that could be a whole episode on just dreams right there, Cryssy. But what I think is really beautiful is that our loved ones can give us like those gifts. And I totally believe in this. And that was a gift to you. And like any, you know, because you were thinking like, I didn't get to say the things I wanted to say. And like, we always wonder, you know, we're here, we're human, we're having a human experience. What do we know about what happens? You know, we can have our beliefs and everyone has their own beliefs and, you know,
Mhm.
but so I do think those are gifts, and I think it's great that she just like looked at you and she's like, "I'm okay. You know,
Yeah.
it's okay." I think that's great, and I know what you're talking about with the white light as well. And for those of you who maybe haven't done meditation exercises, but that's like a big thing in meditation exercises to
Mhm.
like protect yourself. People have different feelings on meditation, but I like it. It took me many years to like get into it, but yeah, that's kind of what they teach you is like envision this like white light around you, and it's a calming thing. And so I think it's amazing that Danielle visited you and you had that experience with her, Cryssy. I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah, it felt like a being kind of like wrapped in love, like a hug.
Yeah, I
Like
love
an
that.
energy hug.
Yeah, I love that. But you know what I like about what you shared too is that, a lot of people are like, oh my God, why am I not dreaming about my sister? Or why am I not dreaming about my brother? I mean, it was over a year before you had that dream. So
Yeah.
I feel like, don't you feel like you kind of just have to be open to it? And like, we can't put time, it's like grief. We can't put timelines on when we see signs or when they visit us in a dream, or, I mean, it's not something we can control. And I think
Mm-mm.
it's such a theme in grief as well, right? We really can't control what we're going to feel, like you were sharing earlier, when it's going to come up. But like the signs or the dreams and those experiences, we can't control those either.
No, you really can't control anything when it comes to grief,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And
Yeah.
I think that's the thing about grief is it's uncontrollable, and nobody grieves the same.
Mm-hmm.
And to be mad at somebody for grieving, like, grief is the price that we pay for the love that we had given to the people that we love in this world.
Yeah.
So all
So
grief is,
beautiful and so true.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
all it is love, just in a different way.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about where you are now and kind of how your grief journey was for you, because I relate so much to the aspect of your loss in the sense that, like, I I think families either really come together or it can separate you, and for
Mhm.
me, it was a very divisive experience as well for families, so I totally relate to that part of your story, but I love that you and your brother
Mhm.
seemed to still have that connection after. But it's been coming up on 13 years for you,
Yep.
so what
13.
has this experience been like for you personally, and how has it impacted you? Like,
Um,
mentally, emotionally, physically, how have those things impacted your life? How has grief impacted your life?
um, oh, in so many ways. I got sick because I didn't realize that you can get deathly ill because of grief. And I learned through grief therapy that, like, grief can manifest in illness and many other different things. And like literally like a month to the date of my sister passing, I ended up getting this really bad illness that they don't know what it was, don't know what caused it. I just was really, really sick. Um, and I remember, like, hoping and praying that I was going to be able to get out of the hospital in time to go to my sister's second memorial. She had two memorial services. And I was like, please let me, be able to get out. And I kind of did, against doctors' recommendations, but I'm like, I'm not going to miss, my sister's memorial because of being sick. And I had learned that, like, oh yeah, you had manifested it in illness. I couldn't see for I had this, like, the worst migraine you could I any sort of light sound. I couldn't eat anything but grapes for like 7 days.
What?
Yeah, it was wild.
That is wild.
And then once I was released, I ended up getting an abscess in my leg that had to heal from the inside out. So I had a baseball size hole in my arm, and it took a year to heal. I ended up getting sepsis, but I didn't know I had sepsis. And
Which is deadly.
yes.
Oh
And
my
the
god.
interesting thing about it is I was living with a roommate who also um, knew my sister, and we, she was like a kind of like an honorary sister to my sister. And so I had, I always closed my door at night to sleep. I never had the door open. And this particular night, of all the nights in all of the world, I decided to sleep with the door open. And a friend that would come over on occasion on his lunch break, of all the days, decided that this particular day he was going to come and take a nap. And that's when he noticed that I was sick.
Oh
And
my
he had said, like, hey, I'm not coming back in the morning after work. I'm just going to go home. Well, he actually did come back that morning. And at that point, I was delusional. I didn't know where I was, what was going on, because I had what I found out was like 105, I don't remember if it was 105 or 106 degree temperature, and sepsis had set in. And of all the nights, like, I feel like, I don't know, like, had to have been my sister, because why else would I have left the door open? And why else did this person show up when they did after not seeing them for weeks?
Yeah.
And they ended up calling 911 and ended up saving my life.
Oh my God.
So it was crazy, and it's just been kind of up and down ever since. But I celebrate her every year. Like, I get her carrot cake and sing to her. I have a sheep. My sister collected sheep. I have this sheep called Sheep that I dress up in little pet clothes from Five Below.
That's so cute. Oh my gosh.
All these little holiday sweaters, and anywhere I go, I take her with me. And countless people will be like, you're an old lady. Why are you carrying this random sheep? And it gives me a chance to be like, oh, I get to tell about my sister. I get to talk about my sister. Like, this sheep is because, you know, I, I'm living vicariously through my sister. Like, I got to go to the Grand Canyon, took my sister with me. And
I love this. I think that's so cool. So many of you guys ask, like, how can I honor my sibling? How can I honor my sibling? I think it's so personal, Cryssy, how you honor your sibling. And I've never heard of this before. And it's what I love about this is it's so personal because your sister loved sheep, and like this is like a symbol of your sister. And when you go experience things, you're taking your sister with you to experience this. And it's just such a great example of what I always say. I'm like, it's so personal how you honor your sibling. There's no wrong way to do it,
I
and
agree.
nothing's too big and nothing's too small to do, right? So
It's all about celebrating them, because you could be sad forever, but, like, they wouldn't want you sad. They want you to, you know, be living your best life.
mhm.
They're there in their own way. And if you have like something like a little sheep, or, some people take their ashes with them wherever they go, like, keeping them close by. And, like, I think you can do whatever you want in order to honor the people that you've loved and lost.
I
I,
agree. I
I,
agree.
I think celebrating them is uh, one of the best ways you can honor them.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that. Your sheep. I love it. It's so cute. It's such a cute idea. Well, and we've talked about that before. And again, it's so important to honor them. And I think it can be so healing
Mhm.
for us too, because again, we're the ones left here
Yes.
having an experience, and how do we incorporate them into our lives? And it's such a personal thing to choose to do. And you're right. Like, a lot of people will do ashes. I wore a necklace of my brother's ashes for a really long time. I don't wear it as much anymore. That kind of changed for me. But when I travel somewhere new, he comes with me. So yes, he does. He does come with me. But I wore that necklace for like 3 years straight. I was like, no. And then I got his ashes tattooed in me. So then now I feel like he's always with me. So
You now.
yeah, he's always with me now. So I love that. But what a cute idea. Okay, so for those of you thinking of ideas, that's a really cute one. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and unique. I love that. But I'm so sorry to hear, like, sepsis is very serious, having an abscess, like, all of this is very serious. But what I think is interesting too about your story, Cryssy, is that you know and believe that, like, your grief really manifested in a physical way.
Mhm.
And I've heard of this happening before
Yeah.
because you just got sick out of the blue, out of nowhere. I love that your friend came back. I totally believe that our siblings watch over us. I believe in that personally. Um, but that's just my personal belief. But yeah, I mean, you're meant to be here still, Cryssy, for sure, because wow. Yeah.
Oh, I believe that. Like, I have I'm a I've survived 3 pulmonary embolisms, and like, I do believe that I don't know what it is, and I don't think we're really sometimes meant to know. but I think everyone has purpose. And so for whatever the universe says, it's like, here, you gotta keep living to be there for people. And I think that's like my gift, is to be able to help people.
Yeah. Oh, I totally get that with you. Yeah, for sure. And I think finding purpose after loss is a big topic as well that you've kind of just transitioned us into.
Yeah.
And, you know, your you feel like your purpose is to help people. And yeah, I think that's I mean, you know so much about this as well. And I think us older children too often feel like our purpose is to help people because we're kind of like that's kind of our life trajectory too. It's like, we start out life and we're pretty much helping people from the beginning. Let me switch gears for just a second. I want to understand something a little more too, and I want everyone listening to understand if you don't know already. How do you? Is there like a pre-existing thing, or like what happens with leukemia? Because again, I only know so much. Is it a certain genetic thing? Is it like how do we not know enough still? Like, and I'm sure you went through this too. Another question on top of that is why Danielle? Why Danielle? Right? Like, why was it her? But is there is there a way we can tell if it, a predisposition? I'm always curious with these types of cancers and illnesses, like, what do we know about it?
An interesting thing that an article that I had read about leukemia in particular is if you're injured a lot, like if you break a lot of bones, and you just continuously like break a lot of bones, or you get injured a lot easily, like you kind of, I think they had put like people that are injured more end up kind of getting leukemia. Like they
Interesting.
did like a study. I haven't That was just something that I read back in like 2012. I don't know if it's still a thing, but it's an article I had read through the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, because I tried to read up on the drug trials that she was trying to do when she was still here with us. And I wanted to make sure that she was making the right decisions, and I tried not to sway her because it's ultimately it was up to her,
Yeah.
and her decisions. And so I was just kind of like up, and I had read that like a lot of people that have had a lot of injuries end up getting leukemias. And sometimes you just you just get it, and that's the unfortunate thing. Sometimes it's predisposition, sometimes it's not genetics. Like some people just, they don't have it in their family history at all, and then boom, they have it.
Yeah.
So I don't know much about that information.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you know as much as you could know
Yeah,
because there's
I tried
still so
to.
much to figure out. Yeah. But that's interesting because you shared earlier in the episode that she was always kind of getting herself into some bumps and some scrapes and
Yeah.
so that's interesting, right? Like maybe there is a connection there. I think that kind of information is really fascinating within us also sharing our grief and sharing our love and sharing our pain, also understanding there's a curiosity in us when we love our siblings so much and we lose them in a certain way and wanting to really understand why this happened to them. Because, the what ifs and the whys are what haunt us for a really long time.
Yeah. And I don't think that ever stops.
Yeah.
I think um I think the one thing that there's things that I get mad about when it comes to loss, or especially losses that we have no control over, like cancer. Like you hear the like it was this plan or is that plan or whatever, and I would just get so angry when I would hear somebody be like it was God's plan, and I'm like, that would just make me so mad because I heard it constantly, and I would just have to like bite my tongue and just kind of grin and bear it, because that's not the feeling that I was taking away from that.
Of course not.
And
Yeah.
like I would get super mad at people when they would tell me that, and I'm like, well, if this is a plan, it's a really crappy plan to give someone,
Right.
because like we don't ever want to lose the people we love, especially from something, anything. Nobody wants to lose anyone we love from
Yeah.
from whether it's cancer, a car accident, from drugs, alcohol, anything. Like we don't want to lose the people we love.
Yeah.
And the last thing that anybody wants to hear is that it was, this plan or that plan or purpose or whatever. And I wish more people would know that sometimes simply while we're grieving to just kind of let it, silence is okay. We don't have to hear that you're sorry. We know that you're sorry.
Mhm.
And I wish more people would kind of be like, it's okay to be okay in silence.
Mhm.
Like we just want you to know that we know that you're sorry already. Like just be there for us.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you, like, what advice would you give? And so you just beautifully took that to the next step. Perfect. Thank you, Cryssy. And yeah, I think we've all heard something like that, right? Or, another one that really it drives me crazy, and I'm sure you heard this too. It's like, well, at least if you're starting with an at least, it's probably not the right thing to say, like, at least you got to be with Danielle for a little while. Please don't. Please
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
Please. Because
I wish
what's
they were
interesting.
here now,
Right, but right. Right, but they're not here now, guys, like but yeah, I think yeah, it was God's plan or it was divine planning or, it's okay or like, they're in a better place, like all these phrases, just refrain,
Yeah.
and it's okay to be silent, and I think that's really great advice, Cryssy, and if you could kind of, because you've been on this journey for 13 years.
Mhm.
And so I just feel like you have so much wisdom to share, especially with our audience that have anticipatory losses or might be going through it right now, might be spending those last moments with their siblings, or maybe are just coming out of this. What advice would you give? What's something we haven't talked about? And what's some advice that you would give about this particular type of journey of loss of a sibling?
Um, if it's anticipatory and you know that they might have something terminal, my advice would definitely be to record them, whether it's their voice or them on video, or take as many pictures, ask them the questions you want to ask them, spend as much time with them as you want, even if you're just quiet in each other's company. Like, just, that's the thing that I regret, and you'll regret it too, is time, because you'll never get that back. So spend as much time, ask the questions, listen, record, be with them, you know, put the smile on your face, cry with them, just, be what you would want somebody to be for you if it was in your shoes. Like,
I think that's great advice. Yeah. I Yeah, I think it's normal to have regrets, right? And so if you are going through this, I think that's really beautiful advice and to take advantage of the time that you do have and something I would ask you before we'll close out is did did Danielle share the same hopefulness as the rest of your family or was she more aligned with you? I forgot to ask you that earlier.
Danielle was, she was, she's hopeful, and, she was always, she was very in her faith. She was very, Christian faith. And I'm not. And that was one of the things that, she was wishing that I would kind of be, I remember her specifically going, I want to see you someday. And that broke my heart because, like here she is, worried that she's not going to see me someday in like heaven. And I sit with that a lot sometimes at night, and you know because that's something she requested is, please, you know I wish you would walk in the faith of Jesus. And I respected her and her faith, and I respect everybody's faith. And um I think that's something like she asked me, like, I want to see you someday. And I sit with that a lot at night. um And that's probably the one thing she asked me to do that, and she asked me to uh, lose weight healthy, not to have weight loss surgery. So like that's what I've been working on, is having losing weight on my own, and I've lost 100 pounds so far.
That's amazing. I think the things you're doing to honor your sister are amazing. Like, you're on a health journey. You are, I mean, the sheep, I can't get over how cute that is. I'm sorry. I love that. So if you guys are thinking of ideas, like, that's a really cute one. I love it.
I'll have to send you a picture of sheep, and
You
because
will.
I take pictures of her throughout the year in different costumes.
That is so cool. That is so cool. I absolutely love that. And I just love how you're honoring your sister. I think this is amazing. And I think it's really amazing too that, you know, that was her faith and this is what your belief is. And I think we can still stay true to ourselves and whatever our beliefs
Mhm.
are and still honor our siblings. And I think your story is a testament to that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like she's never, like, I have pictures of her in every room. You know, like there isn't a day that I don't, you know, think about her. Like something throughout the day will make me think of her.
Yeah.
And I love being able to like know that she's there.
Yeah.
In some form, like I decorate trees. This is probably just like, you're like, wow, like I literally decorate like 11 or 12 trees in my home.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a peacock tree, and it's Danielle's last birthday. I had for her birthday, my birthday, I had a masquerade party, and she made this beautiful mask. I bought her all the stuff to make it, and it was teal and purple, and it had peacock feathers. And she was so proud of that masquerade mask. She looked so cute that night. And so now I have this beautiful peacock tree that I put up every year and to honor her, along with all million other different trees to honor my sister. But
I love that.
and I carve a pumpkin for her, you know, like I
Mm-hmm.
try to do so much for her. And Easter was the last holiday we got to celebrate. So and Easter was a huge family thing for our whole family.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, you know, have Christmas or Thanksgiving. Our family was Easter, so I try to have a big Easter celebration every year with our close family that we made ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
I
and
think that's great.
yeah,
Yeah.
I try to honor her as much as I can.
Well, obviously, with your trees and sheep and all the things you're doing, but I love that, and I think it'll inspire all of you guys listening too, who are thinking about ways to honor. Like, what's important, Christine, what you're sharing is that it is so personal, right? It's so
Yeah,
personal, and it's about the connection that you had with your sibling, and each thing that you do represents your relationship with Danielle, and
yeah,
that's why you feel connected to her. I think that's beautiful, and thank you for giving really insightful advice to those of, you know, those of the siblings listening that are maybe new on the journey or maybe have felt stuck, or, you know, it's, we're living in honor of them as well as
yeah,
ourselves,
yeah.
and like you're really doing that. Cryssy, where are you comfortable with people reaching out to you, for those of them that want to connect with you and your story resonates with them? What's the best way to connect with you?
I am Nimby Donut on Instagram. Crystal M Perry at Yahoo is my email. I'm Cryssy on TikTok. I think I messaged you all that information, so if you want to put it out there.
Yep,
And
it'll be in the show notes. Yep.
I think that's it. And of course, Cryssy Perry at Facebook. If you can even find me, I'm so privatized on there.
We'll put your other links in here and your email as well. So if this story resonated with you guys, definitely reach out to Cryssy. Cryssy, thank you for sharing your story and
Thank you for
Danielle's
having me.
story with us. Yes, it's been
And
wonderful having you.
yes, thank you for letting me talk about Danielle.
Thank you so much for listening to the Surviving Siblings podcast. If you enjoyed this episode as much as I did creating it for you, then share it on your chosen social media platform. And don't forget to tag us at Surviving Siblings Podcast so that more surviving siblings can find us. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. And don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Surviving Siblings podcast. All links can be found in the show notes, so be sure to check those out too. Thank you again for the support. Until the next episode, keep on surviving, my surviving siblings.